Admiral Ta stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Stellar Wind Asterisk. His eyes were fixed on the main screen. There, floating in the blackness of space, was a ship unlike any he had ever seen. "What do we know about it?" he asked. Officer Kim checked her readings. "It's big, sir. Much bigger than our ship. Our scans can't penetrate their hull. But it doesn't match any known design." The unknown ship had appeared at the edge of the disputed zone 3 hours ago. This area of space was claimed by both the Galactic Council and the Vex Confederation. Neither side wanted war, but neither would back down. "Try to contact them again," Tai ordered. Kim nodded and sent the message. This time, the screen flickered. A face appeared. It looked almost like them, but with subtle differences. The being had no scales, and its skin was a light brown color. "This is Commander Han of the Earth, Ship Dauntless Asterisk." The being said in perfect galactic standard. "We come in peace." Ta blinked in surprise. How did this unknown species know their language? "I am Admiral Ta of the Galactic Council Fleet. You are in disputed space. Please state your purpose." Commander Han smiled. It was a gesture Ta recognized from his diplomatic training as a sign of friendship. "We are explorers from planet Earth. We detected your standoff with the Vex Confederation and thought we might offer our help." Ta frowned. "How do you know about the Vex?" "We've been watching from a distance. Learning. We believe we can help end this dispute peacefully." Officer Lee, Ta's security chief, leaned close. "Sir, this could be a trick." Ta nodded slightly. The strange ship was either a new ally or a new threat. He couldn't tell which yet. "Commander Han, what makes you think you can help where centuries of diplomacy have failed?" Han's expression remained calm. "Sometimes a new perspective is useful. We humans have our own history of conflicts and resolutions. Perhaps we can offer fresh ideas." "Humans," Tay repeated the unfamiliar word. "That's what you call yourselves?" "Yes," Han replied. "We come from a planet called Earth in what you would call the Outer Rim." Officer Park, the science specialist, looked up from her console. "Sir, I'm getting some strange readings from their ship. Their technology seems uneven. Some parts are very advanced, others surprisingly basic." Ta considered this information. An uneven technology pattern often meant a young spacefaring species, yet they had built a ship that dwarfed his fleet flagship. "Sir," Kim said urgently, "we're detecting Vex ships entering the sector. 5 warships." Ta felt the tension rise on the bridge. The Vex were not known for their patience. "Commander Han," Ta said, "I suggest you leave this area immediately. The Vex Confederation does not welcome strangers." Han's calm expression didn't change. "Actually, Admiral, I've already contacted them as well. I've invited both parties to meet aboard the Dauntless Asterisk for peace talks." "You did what?" Ta couldn't hide his shock. "The Vex don't negotiate with outsiders." "They've agreed to come," Han said. "I can be very persuasive." The bridge fell silent. The Vex had refused all previous attempts at negotiation. "Sir," Lee whispered, "this is unprecedented." Tai studied the human's face carefully. There was something about these humans that didn't make sense. They acted with the confidence of a major power, yet came from an unknown world. "Why would you involve yourselves in our dispute?" Tai asked. "Good neighbors make for peaceful galaxies," Han replied. "And we'd like to be good neighbors." The main screen split to show 5 Vex warships approaching. They were sleek, black vessels shaped like arrowheads. "Admiral," Han said, "I extend an invitation to you and a small delegation to board the Dauntless Asterisk for preliminary discussions. The Vex representatives will arrive shortly after." Todd looked at the human ship on the screen. It hung in space like a mountain, dwarfing both fleets. Whatever these humans wanted, they had managed to do something no one else had done in decades: get the Vex to the negotiating table. "Very well, Commander Han," Ta said finally. "We accept your invitation." As Ta gave orders to prepare a shuttle, he wondered what kind of people these humans really were, and what shadow their massive ship would cast across the galaxy. Jin checked his uniform one last time before stepping onto the shuttle. As the Galactic Council's chief diplomat, it was his job to assess these strange humans before Admiral Tai arrived. "Remember," Li said, handing Jin a small emergency beacon, "if anything seems wrong, activate this." Jin nodded and boarded the shuttle. The short journey to the human ship gave him time to prepare. New species were rare in the galaxy. Most had been catalogued centuries ago. The shuttle docked with a gentle bump. The airlock doors slid open, revealing the human waiting for him. This one was shorter than Commander Han had appeared on screen, with long dark hair tied back. "Welcome to the Dauntless," she said with a small bow. "I'm Officer Min. Commander Han asked me to bring you to him." Jin followed Min through wide corridors. The ship was surprisingly warm and bright. The walls were a soft white color with plants growing in small containers along the way. "Your ship is very large," Jin said, trying to gather information. Min smiled. "The Dauntless is one of our smaller diplomatic vessels." Jin nearly stopped walking. Smaller. This ship was bigger than anything in the galactic fleet. They entered a room with a large window showing the stars outside. Commander Han stood there, talking with two other humans. They turned as Jin entered. "Diplomat Jin," Han said, extending his hand. Jin had studied this greeting gesture from the human data packet and took Han's hand carefully. "Thank you for coming," Han continued. "These are Officers Sun and Jun, our science and security specialists." Jin studied the humans closely. They were all different heights and builds. Their skin colors varied from light to dark brown. They had no claws, no sharp teeth, no natural armor. By all appearances, they were physically unimpressive. Yet they carried themselves with complete confidence. "Would you like a tour before the Admiral arrives?" Han asked. Jin nodded. "I would appreciate that." As they walked through the ship, Jin noted the strange mix of technology. Some systems seemed amazingly advanced. Artificial gravity that felt perfectly natural. Doors that opened by thought alone. Yet other systems were surprisingly mechanical, with buttons and levers. "Your technology is unusual," Jin remarked. Officer Sun smiled. "We believe in redundancy. Electronic systems can fail. Sometimes a simple lever is more reliable." They passed a room where humans were lifting heavy weights and fighting each other with padded sticks. "Combat training?" Jin asked, surprised. "Just exercise," Han explained. "Humans come from a high-gravity world. Our bodies need regular challenge to stay healthy." "High gravity?" Jin was intrigued. "What other challenges does your world have?" The three humans exchanged glances. "Earth is what some might call a death world," Sun said. "Extreme temperature ranges, regular natural disasters, thousands of venomous creatures, and an atmosphere that occasionally tries to kill us." Jin tried not to show his shock. No wonder these humans seemed so confident in space. By comparison, space was safe. They'd reached the bridge, a large circular room with screens showing both fleets. "The Vex ships have agreed to hold position until talks begin," Han said. "Your admiral is welcome whenever he's ready." Jin studied Commander Han. "May I ask why you're doing this? Why involve yourselves in our conflict?" Han looked out at the stars. "Humans have fought many wars among ourselves. We nearly destroyed our planet several times before we learned better. Now we have a saying, peace must be built, not merely wished for." Jin thought about this as he prepared to report back to Admiral Ta. These humans were physically unremarkable, but had survived a world that sounded terrifying. They had technology beyond the Galactic Council in some areas, yet used simple mechanical systems in others. And they spoke of peace while commanding a ship that could easily destroy both fleets. "I will tell Admiral Ta you are ready to receive him," Jin said finally. As he returned to the shuttle, Jin realized something important. He still didn't know if these humans were potential allies or the most dangerous species they had ever encountered. Perhaps they were both. Admiral Tai and his small team stood in the docking bay of the human ship. Jin stood beside him, still thinking about what he had seen during his tour. "What do you make of these humans?" Tai asked quietly. Before Jin could answer, the room's lights changed to a soft blue. A voice came from everywhere at once. "Vex ships approaching docking bay 2, the voice said. Commander Han and Officer Sun entered the room. "The Vex delegation has arrived," Han said. "Shall we greet them together?" Ta nodded stiffly. No one in the Galactic Council had met face-to-face with the Vex in over 50 years. They walked through more wide hallways to a second docking area. The doors opened to reveal 5 tall figures stepping out of a sleek black shuttle. The Vex were exactly as the reports described. Tall, with gray skin that seemed to shine like metal. Their eyes were large and completely black. They moved with perfect precision, as if every step was planned. The leader stepped forward. "I am Supreme Commander Dole of the Vex Confederation." His voice was flat and cold. Commander Han bowed slightly. "Welcome aboard the Dauntless. I am Commander Han of Earth. Thank you for accepting our invitation." Dole's black eyes moved from Han to Tai and back again. "We are here out of curiosity, not necessity. Who are you to mediate between powers that have existed for thousands of years?" Han didn't seem bothered by the harsh tone. Sometimes a fresh perspective can be valuable. "We offer our ship as neutral ground and ourselves as impartial mediators." "Impartial?" Dole made a sound that might have been a laugh. "You arrived in Galactic Council space. You speak their language. Why should we trust you?" "We speak your language too," Han said in perfect Vex speech. The Vex delegation stirred, clearly surprised. "Before we begin formal talks," Han continued, "I'd like to offer a demonstration. If you'll follow me." Han led both groups to a large round room. The walls were dark until Han spoke a word. Then the darkness was replaced by stars. "This is a recording from Earth's history," Han explained. The stars faded, replaced by images of a blue-green planet. The images change, showing humans fighting with simple weapons, then more advanced ones. Cities burning, great machines of war. "This was our third global war," Han said softly. 200 million died. The images continued, showing more conflicts, more destruction. Weapons that could destroy entire cities with a single blast. "We nearly destroyed ourselves many times," Han said, "before we learned better." The final images showed humans from different parts of their world signing documents, shaking hands, working together to rebuild. The room fell silent when the images ended. "You show us your wars?" Dole asked. "Why?" "To show that we understand conflict," Han replied, "and the cost of failing to find peace." One of the Vex delegates whispered something to Dole. Jin couldn't hear the words, but he noticed Dole's posture changed slightly. "Our scans indicate your ship has significant weapons," Dole said, "yet you claim to want peace." Han nodded. "Another lesson from our history. Strength and kindness are not opposites. Often, the strong can best afford to be kind." Jin watched the Vex carefully. Something in Han's words or the images had affected them. The Vex were known throughout the galaxy as fearless, but Jin thought he saw something like unease in their perfect stillness. "We will participate in your talks," Dole said finally. "For now." As they moved toward the conference room, Jin fell into step beside Officer Sun. "Those images," Jin said quietly, "were they real?" Sun looked at him with sad eyes. "Yes. Our path to the stars was not easy. We share our mistakes so others might avoid them." Jin considered this as they entered the conference room. The humans had shown the Vex not demonstrations of power, but evidence of terrible failure and painful learning. And somehow, this had made the Vex agree to talk. The first round of talks had ended for a short break. Jin found himself walking down a quiet hallway with Officer Sun, the young human tactical specialist. There was something about Sun that made Jin curious. Despite being younger than Commander Han, Sun spoke with the same calm confidence. "How long have humans been traveling in space?" Jin asked. Sun thought for a moment. "In ships like the Dauntless, about 70 years, but we first left our planet's surface nearly 300 years ago." Jin was surprised. "That's very recent. The Galactic Council has been in space for over 2,000 years, the Vex even longer." They stopped at a window that looked out at the stars. The Galactic and Vex fleets were visible in the distance, keeping watch on each other. "Is the Dauntless your biggest ship?" Jin asked. Sun smiled. "No, not even close. The Dauntless is a diplomatic vessel." "Diplomatic?" Jin looked around at the massive ship. "This is bigger than our largest warship." "We believe in being prepared," Sun said simply. "The Dauntless has defense systems, but it's designed for meetings like this. Our actual warships are different." A small chill ran down Jin's back. If this was just a diplomatic ship, how big were their warships? "Your people unified quickly," Jin said, changing the subject. "The images Commander Han showed us made it seem like humans fought each other for most of your history." "We did," Sun admitted, "right up until we didn't. Our last major war was about 150 years ago. After that, we decided fighting ourselves was a waste of energy when the universe was waiting to be explored." They walked into a small room where food and drinks were available. Several members of both delegations were there, keeping carefully apart. One of the Vex delegates, a tall female named Ren, approached them. "Your ship is impressive," she said to Sun. "But you should know that the Vex Confederation has never lost a war. If these talks fail, we will not hesitate to secure our territorial claims." Jin tensed, expecting Sun to be intimidated. Instead, the young officer smiled politely. "I understand," Sun said. "In human history, we had a concept called mutually assured destruction. It meant that if two sides had weapons powerful enough to destroy each other completely, neither would attack first." Ren's black eyes narrowed. "Are you threatening the Vex Confederation?" "Not at all," Sun replied calmly. "I'm explaining why we believe this treaty will succeed, because the alternative would be costly for everyone." Jin watched as Ren seemed to process this. The Vex were known for their logical thinking and supreme confidence in their military power. But Sun had just casually suggested that humans could match that power. Ren left without another word, returning to her delegation. "You handled that well," Jin said. Sun shrugged. "Humans have a saying, speak softly and carry a big stick. It means be polite, but make sure others know you are strong." As they returned to the conference room, Jin thought about what he had learned. These humans were young as a spacefaring species, but they had advanced quickly. They spoke of peace but prepared for war. They were physically unimpressive, but had survived a planet that sounded more dangerous than any battlefield. Admiral Tai approached Jin before they entered the room. "What have you learned?" Tai asked quietly. Jin hesitated. "I believe the humans are exactly what they appear to be, peaceful explorers." "But," Ta prompted, sensing Jin's reservation. "But they are also warriors," Jin continued. "They don't want war, but they're ready for it. And I think," he paused, searching for the right words, "I think they might be more dangerous than the Vex." Tai's eyes widened slightly. "Then we are fortunate they want peace." As they took their seats at the conference table, Jin watched Commander Han calmly discussing terms with Supreme Commander Dole. The human showed no fear, no nerves, just patient determination. Jin realized that anyone who could survive a death world and centuries of self-inflicted wars would find galactic politics simple by comparison. The talks had been going for 6 hours. Both sides were tired but making progress. Commander Han had suggested a 2-hour break for everyone to rest. Admiral Tai and his team were in their guest quarters. Jin was reading the draft agreement on a datapad when a loud alarm started blaring. "What's happening?" Tai asked, jumping to his feet. Officer Min's voice came through the speakers. "Please remain in your quarters. We have a security situation. You are safe." Jin and Tide exchanged worried looks. Had the peace talks failed already? 20 minutes later, Commander Han arrived at their door with Officer Sun. "I apologize for the alarm," Han said. "We had an intruder in a restricted area. The situation is under control now." "An intruder?" Tai asked. "From which delegation?" Han's face was serious. "A Vex security officer attempted to access our weapons systems." Jin felt his stomach tighten. This was bad. Very bad. By the rules of both the Galactic Council and the Vex Confederation, such an act was considered an act of war. "What will you do?" Jin asked carefully. "We've detained the officer," Sun explained. "Commander Dole has been informed." Detained. Todd was confused. Not executed. It was standard procedure in both their cultures. Spies caught in the act were killed immediately. "That's not how we handle these situations," Han said. "We like both delegations to observe our process for dealing with this incident." An hour later, they all gathered in a large room. The Vex delegation stood stiffly on one side, the Galactic Council team on the other. In the center was a clear container. Inside sat a Vex officer, looking angry but unharmed. Commander Han addressed everyone. "This is Officer Kai of the Vex security team. He was caught attempting to download our weapons specifications. Under human law, he is entitled to explain his actions before any punishment is decided." Supreme Commander Dole stepped forward. "This is unnecessary. Return him to us. We will deal with him according to our laws." "While on this ship, we follow human law," Han said firmly but politely. "Officer Kai, would you like to explain your actions?" The Vex officer looked at Dole, who gave a small nod. "I was ordered to assess your weapons capabilities," Kai said simply. "It is standard procedure when meeting a new species." "By whom were you ordered?" Han asked. Kai was silent. "Very well," Han continued. "The facts are clear. The question is what to do now." Jin watched carefully. By galactic and Vex standards, the punishment would be death or at least life imprisonment. "In human justice, we consider several factors," Han explained. "The harm caused, the intent, and the possibility of rehabilitation. In this case, no actual harm was done. Our systems stopped the intrusion before any data was taken." Han looked at Dole. "We propose the following. Officer Kai will remain in our custody until the treaty is signed. Then he will be returned to the Vex Confederation with a warning. No further action will be taken." The room was silent. Jin couldn't believe what he was hearing. The humans were going to let a spy go free. "This is weakness," one of the Vex delegates muttered. "Is it?" Sun asked quietly. "Our sensors detected Officer Kai the moment he left your shuttle. Our security systems blocked his attempts instantly. He never had any chance of success. What would be the point of harsh punishment when we were never at risk?" Jin saw something change in Dole's expression. The Vex commander was reassessing the humans. "We accept your terms," Dole said finally. As the delegations filed out, Jin noticed that both Galactic and Vex members were looking at the humans differently. With more respect, but also more caution. "Your justice system is unusual," Jin said to Sun as they walked back to the conference room. "We've learned that mercy can be more powerful than punishment," Sun replied. "Officer Kai will return to the Vex with first-hand knowledge of our technology and our values. That's more useful to us than his death would be." Jin thought about this. The humans had turned what could have been a diplomatic disaster into a demonstration of both their technological superiority and their unusual approach to justice. And they had done it without firing a single shot or making a single threat. Jin couldn't sleep. The negotiations were going well, but something about the humans bothered him. They knew too much about both the Galactic Council and the Vex. How was that possible for a species that claimed to be new to interstellar travel? He decided to visit the ship's information center, which Commander Han had made available to both delegations. The room was empty except for Officer Min, who sat at a desk reading something on a screen. "Can't sleep?" she asked with a smile. "Too many questions," Jin admitted. Min nodded. "Information might help. What would you like to know?" "I'd like to learn more about Earth's first contact with other species," Jin said. Min's smile faded slightly. "That's an interesting choice. Let me access those files for you." She pressed a few buttons, and a large screen lit up with information. Jin began reading, and with each paragraph, his eyes grew wider. According to the records, humans had not discovered space travel on their own. 200 years ago, a small scout ship had crashed on Earth. The scout ship belonged to the Vex Confederation. The file included images of the ship and the single Vex pilot who had died in the crash. Humans had studied the ship, learned from its technology, and used it to jumpstart their own space program. "This can't be right," Jin said. "The Vex never mentioned this." "They don't know," Min said quietly. "The scout was believed lost in space. Its final report classified humans as harmless primitives and Earth as a potential future colony." Jin felt a chill. "You've known about the Vex all this time." Min nodded. "We learned their language from the ship's databanks. We studied their technology, their culture, their history. We prepared." "Prepared for what?" "For them to come back," Min said simply. "We knew they would eventually." Jin thought about what this meant. The humans had spent 2 centuries getting ready for a return they knew would come. They had built ships like the Dauntless not to explore, but to defend. "Does Commander Dole know this?" Jin asked. "Commander Han is telling him now," Min replied. "We felt it was time for the truth." Jin hurried back toward the conference room. When he arrived, he found Admiral Tai outside, looking stunned. "Did you know?" Tai asked him. "I just found out," Jin said. "How did the Vex react?" "They're still in there." Tai pointed to the closed door of the conference room. "Han is showing them proof." The door opened, and Commander Han emerged with Supreme Commander Dole. The Vex leader's face was impossible to read, but his body language showed tension. "It seems we have misjudged the humans," Dole said to Ta. "We thought them newcomers. In reality, they have been preparing for us for 2 centuries. Not just for you," Han corrected gently. "For anyone. The universe is vast and not always friendly. We wanted to be ready." Dole turned to Han. "The scout ship classified your species as harmless. Yet you took our technology and built." He gestured at the massive ship around them. "This. We did what any species would do," Han said. "We adapted. We survived. We learned." Jin watched Dole carefully. The Vex commander seemed to be calculating, reassessing everything. "This changes the balance of our negotiations," Dole said finally. Admiral Ta stepped forward. "How so?" "The humans are not neutral parties," Dole explained. "They have been influenced by Vex technology. They should be considered part of our sphere." "We disagree," Han said calmly. "We developed independently, using what we learned from the scout ship as just one of many tools. We belong to no one's sphere but our own." Jin saw Admiral Tay's expression change as he realized the opportunity this presented. If the humans allied with the Galactic Council instead of the Vex, perhaps, Ta suggested, we should discuss what place the humans might have in our existing power structures. Han smiled slightly. "Yes, let's do that." As they returned to the conference room, Jin realized the treaty discussions had just become much more complicated and much more important. 3 days had passed since the truth about the humans was revealed. The treaty talks had moved forward quickly after that. Both the Galactic Council and the Vex Confederation now wanted the humans on their side. Jin watched as Admiral Tai and Commander Dole argued over the final details. The disputed sector would be split evenly between them, with a neutral zone in the middle. The only question remaining was, where would the humans fit in this new arrangement? "The human delegation has been quiet today," Jin said to Officer Sun, who stood beside him. Sun nodded. Commander Han wanted to give both sides time to work out their differences, but now it's time for our final contribution. Han, who had been sitting silently, stood up. If I may interrupt, before we finalize the treaty, I would like to invite both delegations to the observation deck. There's something you should see. Tai and Dole exchanged glances but agreed. They followed Han through the wide corridors of the Dauntless to a large room Jin hadn't seen before. One entire wall was a clear window looking out into space. "What did you want to show us?" Dole asked. Han smiled. "Officer Min, please remove the visual dampening field." "Yes, Commander," Min replied from a control panel. The view outside changed instantly. Jin gasped. Where there had been empty space, now dozens of ships appeared. They were similar to the Dauntless, but more angular, more clearly designed for combat. They formed a perfect ring around both the Galactic and Vex fleets. "What is this?" Ta demanded, his voice shaking slightly. "This is the first fleet of Earth," Han explained calmly. "They've been here since before your arrival, maintaining position just beyond your sensor range." Jin stared in disbelief. The human ships were massive, each one as large as the Dauntless or larger. How had they hidden so many vessels? "You deceived us," Dol said, his black eyes fixed on Han. "Not at all," Han replied. "We never claimed to be alone. You assumed the Dauntless was our only ship in the sector. We simply didn't correct that assumption." "Why reveal this now?" Tai asked. "To threaten us." Han shook his head. "No, to be honest with you before we sign the treaty. Humans have a saying, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. We came hoping for peace, but prepared for conflict." The room was silent as both delegations took in the sight of the human fleet. Jin counted at least 30 ships, each one powerful enough to challenge the best vessels in either the Galactic or Vex fleets. "So this was all a show," Dol said bitterly. "You could have forced terms on us at any time." "That's not how lasting peace is made," Han said. "Peace through force isn't peace at all. It's just delayed conflict. We wanted a treaty that all sides would choose freely." Jin watched Admiral Tay's face carefully. The Admiral looked troubled, but also thoughtful. "You could have conquered both our fleets," Ta said slowly. "Why didn't you?" "Because that's not who we are," Han replied simply. "Not anymore. We learned from our history that conquest brings only temporary power. Alliances bring lasting strength." As they all stared out at the hidden fleet, Jin finally understood. The humans had never been neutral mediators. They had been the most powerful player all along, guiding the negotiations from a position of hidden strength. "The treaty will proceed as agreed," Han continued. "The only addition we request is formal recognition of Earth as an independent power, allied with both the Galactic Council and the Vex Confederation, but subject to neither." Dol and Ta looked at each other. They both knew they had no real choice. "We agree," they said almost in unison. As they returned to the conference room to finalize the treaty, Jin couldn't help but think that the document would indeed be signed in the shadow of a human ship, or rather, in the shadow of an entire fleet that had been invisible until the humans chose to reveal it. The Great Hall of the Dauntless was prepared for the signing ceremony. 3 large tables formed a triangle in the center of the room. Behind each table stood the flags of the 3 powers: the silver spiral of the Galactic Council, the black star of the Vex Confederation, and the blue and green circle of Earth. Jin stood beside Admiral Tai, watching as officials from all 3 groups checked the final treaty document. The terms were fair, surprisingly fair, given the humans' revealed strength. "Do you trust them?" Tai asked quietly. Jin considered the question carefully. "I think they meant what they said. They want peace, not conquest." Ta nodded slowly. "I hope you're right. Because if they ever decided to conquer instead of cooperate..." He didn't finish the thought. He didn't need to. Commander Han approached them, wearing a formal uniform of deep blue with silver trim. "Are you satisfied with the treaty, Admiral?" Yes, Tay replied, though I admit I'm still processing yesterday's revelation. Han smiled. I understand. If it helps, consider this. We could have hidden our fleet until after the treaty was signed. We chose to show you the truth before you committed to the agreement. Jin had to admit this was true. The humans had revealed their strength when they could have kept it hidden. On the other side of the room, Commander Dole and his delegation were having a similar conversation with Officer Sun. The Vex seemed less angry today, more thoughtful. A soft chime sounded, and everyone moved to their positions. Commander Han took the center position, with Admiral Tai and Commander Dole to his right and left. Today marks a new chapter for all our peoples, Han began. This treaty does more than end a territorial dispute. It creates new bonds between three independent civilizations. Han picked up a pen, an actual physical pen with ink. Jin noted with surprise, and signed his name on the treaty. He passed it to Ta, who signed next, and then to Dole. As Dole's pen touched the paper, Jin looked up through the clear ceiling of the hall. The massive shapes of the human fleet were visible above them, their shadows falling across the Dauntless itself. The treaty was literally being signed in the shadow of human ships. When all three leaders had signed, Han lifted the document. With these signatures, we commit to peace, to cooperation, and to a future where we face the challenges of the galaxy together rather than alone. The room filled with polite applause. Jin noticed that even some of the Vex were joining in, something he had never seen before. As the formal part of the ceremony ended, Jin found himself standing near Officer Sun. What happens now? Jin asked. Will your fleet return to Earth? Sun shook his head. Some will. Others will remain to help establish the neutral zone. A few will begin exploration beyond known space. And the Dauntless. We'll be staying for a while, Sun said. We have much to learn from both your peoples. Jin hesitated, then asked the question that had been bothering him. Your ships could have conquered both our fleets. Why go through all this trouble for peace? Sun's expression grew serious. Because we tried conquest on our own world. It never lasts. The conquered always resist, always rebel. But equals working together, that can last forever. As delegations began to mingle, Jin watched Admiral Tai and Commander Dole speaking with Commander Han. Former enemies, now cautious allies, bound together by a treaty and by the unexpected arrival of a third power that could have destroyed them both but chose peace instead. Jin thought about what Sun had said. Perhaps that was the greatest strength of these humans, not their ships or their technology, but their understanding that lasting power came from cooperation, not conquest. The treaty had been signed in the shadow of a human ship, but it was the humans' wisdom, not their strength, that had truly changed the galaxy forever.